So have a look at this position right here. This is what checkmate looks like with a queen and a king versus a king. Now, if you notice, this black king has absolutely nowhere to go. It's checkmate. The white queen is directly in front of the king. And if you also notice, the white queen is supported by the king. The white king is guarding the white queen, so it's checkmate. And it really doesn't matter where the white king is. The white king can be on any one of these three squares, and this is checkmate. So there's a couple things to notice here. Number one is the queen needs the king to get a checkmate. This isn't the same with two rooks, where you don't even need your king. It is impossible for a queen to deliver checkmate alone. A queen must have help to give a checkmate, whether that's your king or another piece, maybe a rook. But for our scenario, since all we have is a queen and a king, we need the king in order to give a checkmate. And the second thing to notice here is the king is at the edge of the board. And that's very important. Remember what we talked about earlier is that it's much easier to give checkmates when the king is at the edge of the board. Remember that. And when you have a queen and a king only, it's the only way to get a checkmate. And now that you see what a checkmate looks like with a queen and a king, now let's see how we get this. How do we force this position, and how do we get here? So remember when we talked about building walls with our rooks and our queens? That's essentially what we're going to do here. We're going to build walls to push the black king back to the edge of the board where we can easily give a checkmate. So the first thing to know is there's really two ways to give a checkmate with a queen and a king versus a king. One is called the box method, where we create an ever-shrinking box for the black king and then eventually give a checkmate. And the other is the wall method. We're going to talk about the wall method. Personally, I think it's easier to learn and understand, and we'll save the other method, the box method, for later. So the first thing we want to do is just create a wall. We're going to create a wall to limit the king from moving. And right here we can bring our white queen to g4. Now notice she builds this wall across the board. And the black king cannot get through that wall. He can move anywhere around up above that wall, but he's not getting below it. And so remember, I also said that we cannot give a checkmate with a queen alone. We have to bring our king into the game. So our king over here on h1, he needs to get involved. So maybe he comes like this, whatever he does. Our queen can just take a break. She can have a coffee break, go out for lunch. She can sit right there, and we'll just spend some time moving our king in. And so let's just say he goes here. And now we're just going to spend some time moving our king into the action because we can't do this without our king. So our king comes in. Notice that our queen is making this wall across the board. What we don't want to do is move our king in here and cut off this wall. For example, let's say if we put our king here to e4, right? And so what we've done here by doing this is we've now cut off the wall that our queen has. And that's not good because now the black king is just going to get right through our wall. And we don't want that. The whole purpose of us making walls was to prevent the king from crossing. So be very careful about blocking or interrupting the wall you make with your own king. So we need to keep our king outside of the queen's wall. So we're going to move our king, say, over here. We want to get our king kind of near the opponent king. And so maybe the black king moves here. And now right here, we can move our queen right in front of the king. Remember I showed you the checkmate? Just like this. Remember? Now, if the black king was on the edge of the board, that would be checkmate. But here in the middle of the board, the black king has to move backwards. Notice that he can't go to any of these squares. So he's got to leave the 5th rank, and he's got to go back to the 6th rank. So let's say he goes back here. And now notice we have an open rank. The 5th rank is now open. We have just driven the black king backwards from the 5th rank to the 6th rank. So it's very important we build a new wall. We build a new wall instead of a wall on the 4th rank like we had before. See, we had a wall here. We now need to get our wall up to the 5th rank. So we can simply put our queen up here. And now she's making a brand new wall across the board. And the king has nowhere to go. So let's say that he goes here. And remember, now we're going to bring our king into the action. And right here, boom. We do the same thing we did last time. Now the king has to go back again. He's on the 6th rank. He can't stay on the 6th rank. He can't go to any of these squares. He's got to go back. See, we just moved him backwards. He's almost at the edge of the board. This is really easy. You practice this a couple times, you'll see how easy this is. And now that he's moved back to the 7th rank, notice once again we have an open rank. We need to build a new wall on this rank. So we'll just put our queen up here to the 6th rank. Voila, a brand new wall. And now this black king, he doesn't have many squares left. He's going to try to stay on this rank. You know, he doesn't want to go back to the back rank, or we'll just put a new wall there. So we're going to bring our white king up. And now notice that the black king, he doesn't have much left to do. We're going to put our queen again in front of him. And now he's got to go backwards once again. So he goes back, and now he is on the edge of the board. But we got to keep him there. If we move our queen somewhere else, let's say we move our queen over here and think, oh, well, I'll just call a check, right? Say we put our queen here to c6 and call a check. Now, all of a sudden, the black king has moved up. He's not on the edge of the board anymore. We just wasted an opportunity. So we don't want to do that. Remember, keep him there. Keep him on the edge of the board. Put your queen right here to g7, and we've built this wall straight across the board. And now the king is stuck. As long as our queen sits there on g7, the black king has nowhere to go. He's stuck on the back rank. All we got to do now is move our white king up there, and boom, the game's over. So right here, black, he goes here. We put our king right in front of him, and now no matter where he goes, it's checkmate in one move. Watch. If the black king goes here, we call checkmate here. Remember? Put your queen right in front of the king as checkmate. Or let's say he goes to c8, and once again, it's checkmate on c7. Game over. See how easy that is? This is what the checkmate looks like. Your goal is simply to move the king back by building walls with your queen until you can put your queen right in front of the king. You can do this. It's really easy. You just have to practice it, and you'll get the hang of it.